Every month is Pride Month if you always remember to channel Heather Small.
What have you done today to make a feel proud?
Hi, I'm Lady Genevieve, and on my channel I talk about entertainment media. Today I'm going to be talking about a new short series called Switch. Here's the backstory for my semi-regular viewers who saw the words rom-com and Sapphic and came running even though you might not have heard of this particular series before I posted this video. I got an email inviting me to review this short series called Switch, which has not even been released yet. It's having its world premiere at the 2026 Tribeca Festival. It has 8 episodes in total, and I have been able to watch the first 3 episodes, which, when you add them all together, run a combined 27 minutes. That means that each episode averages as being less than 10 minutes long. The show was created by 2 bisexual women who are in a relationship with each other. Their names are Isabelle Platt and Sofya Levitsky-Weitz. The show's premise is based on their own experience of being together in a relationship. In the show, we follow Lena and Maxine, played respectively by Pauline Chalamet and Peña. The synopsis reads, "It's the classic boy meets girl, except girl meets boy, then boy, then boy. Maxine's never been in a relationship. Lena's never been in a relationship with another woman. When Maxine asks her to be her girlfriend, Lena's all in with one concern. She doesn't see herself having sex with one person for the rest of her life. So they make a pact to find a man to have a threesome with. It'll be easy, right? Guys are so simple. Turns out it's not as simple as they think. With each uniquely crazy experience, they get closer to sealing the deal, but only if they can figure out what they really want and how to find it with each other." The first episode introduces us to Lena and Maxine, them having their first date and becoming a couple. It feels a bit awkward at first when they're navigating this initial uncertainty about each other and figuring out whether or not they're interested in pursuing things further. But once they become a couple, they have a conversation about opening things up to have a joint hookup with a man. From there, it becomes a matter of trying to find the man that is best suited to fulfill this task. I want to first read a statement from the showrunners since it offers a fair bit of insight into what the series is, the intention behind it, and more of what to expect if and when you are able to watch it once it secures some sort of distribution deal. Opening up a relationship destroys it, or at least that's what we've learned from every story about open relationships. But what if instead it ended up deepening the relationship? In Switch, our couple grows closer when their journey of opening forces them to communicate, be honest, and confront what they've been avoiding. As filmmakers, we want to challenge what it means to be queer or be open, holding both to a higher standard in order to create something better. When we started our own romantic relationship 4 years ago, there was a lot that was new to both of us. Isabelle had never been in a serious relationship before, and Sofya had never been in a relationship with a woman. So we were both in unforged territory, but we knew being together in a successful way meant embracing each other's desires while also honoring our own. Enter our idea to find a guy for a threesome. Without putting too much thought into it, we figured it would be super easy. But we soon realized we were subverting expectations. Instead of the classic male fantasy of a straight couple looking for a female third, we were giving ourselves the power while challenging what people think when they look at 2 women in a relationship. Finding the right guy wasn't as easy as we thought, but stumbling through these situations taught us we needed to be honest with each other and ourselves, and that building something new is complicated, but in the end, worth it. As filmmakers and storytellers, Switch came from a wish to see our experience represented on screen and our fascination with modern romance. The messy and often hilarious intersections of queerness, gender, and desire. As 2 bisexual women in a relationship, there is no blueprint for how to be together. But beyond sexuality, most of us are struggling to be in romantic relationships, unsure of our roles when we no longer need each other for survival or status. Straight or queer, our friends wonder. In this world of choices and desires, afraid of making the mistakes of our parents, how do we make a relationship work? And at the end of the day, we wanted to make something that's actually funny and actually sexy, both more of a rarity than they should be. And then we wanted to push it even further and create something moving that inspires people to be more honest with themselves and their partners. In season 2, our couple will seek a different kind of third, a sperm donor. We hope to push the boundaries of what family means and help queer parents feel less alone in their quest to have a baby. Pauline Chalamet and Peña brought the main characters to life with groundedness, sexiness, and incredible humor. The chemistry builds between them until it is on fire, and once the guys start appearing, they play off each of them effortlessly. Every day on set, our leads brought their brilliant ideas and collaborative spirits as we built Lena and Maxine together. Our ensemble of prospective guys shone through with rich and surprising performances, revealing a secret behind the show that is just as much about the state of masculinity as it is about queerness. Our entire cast, crew, and production team, led by so many amazing women and queer people, brought fantastic rigor and enthusiasm to the project. Our shared dream to see something new propelled us into making it ourselves, and we can't wait for you to see it. If you watch my channel even semi-regularly, you will know that I'm always wanting there to be more rom-coms greenlit, and in particular, rom-coms that play on the big screen. However, with a short series like this, what ultimately worked the best to win me over and make me interested in watching more of what this story has to offer is that there's a charming sense of humor in the trial and error process of looking for the right man to be with. Given how exclusionary Hollywood has been for many decades, particularly once the Hays Code was enacted, a premise like this series has reads as fresh and defying convention. It's opening up different avenues of the human condition that we don't normally see play out on screen, especially with this sort of fun and comedic tone. That doesn't mean that there isn't anything more emotionally serious or substantive to give the story that depth. It strikes a good balance between being earnest as well as leaning into a more entertaining silliness, or at least as well as you might expect when you have a very small budget to work with and a very short runtime per episode. If anything, I would say that the shorter runtime of these episodes ensures that there is no filler. There's never any room for that, so you have to be efficient in getting to the point. What does the audience need to know about these characters, their relationship, and what it is that they are going to learn as they talk to different men to determine whether or not this particular man could be the one? Monogamy is the standard for the vast majority of romantic fiction we see play out in films or even television series nowadays. But all things considered, based on these first 3 episodes, they've been quite effective in dispelling any misconceptions the audience might have about how and why a romantic couple would seek out another person to hook up with. Of course, if you know that the show has been created by 2 queer women, you can easily understand that they would be more than likely to have a nuanced perspective to bring to this particular story. However, when I first watched my press screeners, I had not read the showrunner's statement yet. I wanted to just get to the material itself. I wanted to watch my screeners first to determine whether or not I would like the material enough on its own to consider bringing it to the attention of the people who watch my videos and are often looking for more romantic fiction to watch, and if that romantic fiction is going to have some sort of intersectional diversity as a bonus, then of course they would like to know about that even more. Episode 3 in particular was my favorite of this first batch of episodes because of how things unfold for Lena and Maxine when they go to meet yet another man to see if he could be the right fit. It scratched a certain itch in my brain of wanting a bit more in the way of whimsy or hijinks, a bit of mayhem to add seasoning to the romance. Oftentimes I feel like there's a serious lack of the comedic element that has become synonymous with the term rom-com following the genre's evolution and boom in the maybe late 90s, but definitely in the 2000s. I often get the sense that there are people, it's a certain type of snobby cinephile, that devalues the more comedic rom-coms as if they're something frivolous or lacking in depth, just because they will lean into some sort of physical comedic sequence, something more outlandish in the delivery. I disagree with that assessment of the rom-com, or that particular type of rom-com. Comedy is a pillar of the arts and of cinema specifically. There is more than enough room to find humor in the most unexpected places, and it feels like if you can have fun with creating your story, that's going to register in the audience's EQ on the most visceral level of their being so that they have fun with the story too. In episode 3, things aren't really clicking with the man that they are meeting with, but there's also a really thoughtful insight Lena and Maxine gain from having spent some time with him. They're able to walk away from the experience feeling like they have this deeper insight into how they need to explore other caverns of their relationship, and what and how they're going to continue this search. The older phrase that's often thrown around, representation matters, as I've carried on with watching an array of fiction, I find that the verbiage feels a bit too superficial for my liking. It feels like something too easily referring to that surface level visibility of fulfilling a checklist of simply including different identity groups on screen. But you need to do more than that. You need to actually mine the layers of those folks' lived experiences, and that is something that this show does, particularly in episode 3. You're not just having a rom-com series where the central couple is two women. You are mining the layers of what it really means to explore the option of opening up a relationship to be with another person, even just casually or occasionally. How to go about doing that, the things that need to be considered as individuals and as a couple in determining what it is that they would like to get out of this experience. It's yet to be determined where exactly this series will end up, and how the audience at large will have access to watch the story in full whenever it gets distribution. But based on these first 3 episodes, I would say that it's promising and warrants an audience being proactive in staying attentive about how to eventually go about watching this series. The larger infrastructure of the industry at large is such that if you don't already have corporate backing, an enormous machine behind you, you will likely struggle to get eyes on your art because you cannot afford this massive marketing campaign. Whenever something like Heated Rivalry or Heartstopper manages to do well and blow up in enormous popularity, I will often see online chatter lamenting how there isn't more queer romantic fiction to watch. It's undeniable that there is a disproportionate amount of stories being greenlit and funded that represent the most privileged groups of the status quo. I would also make the argument that there are too many people in the audience who are complacent in simply following the current, as if they have no ability to proactively explore the arts and find more diverse, engaging stories that do exist. Switch is a short series, and it's very evident simply by looking at the way things are filmed, the locations, the overall visual presentation of things, that they are lacking the sort of budget that would allow them to attempt the level of maximalist spectacle that I personally tend to favor, something like Sense8, for example. However, when you recalibrate your expectations for less established filmmakers with a much more modest budget to work with, there is still plenty of potential in Switch. Anyone who follows my film reviews knows that I tend to be a lot more lenient in my judgment of films that are the debut feature film of a particular filmmaker, because I'm not only looking at the film for what it offers in its own right, I am also looking at what sort of potential that storyteller, or in this case, storytellers, have, and what they might be able to do if they're given more opportunities and, yes, more of a budget to expand their ambitions and overall creative vision for future projects. For something like Switch, I regard this as a charming, funny proof of concept. It shows that if these women are given the chance to do a full series with episodes that run longer than 8 minutes, we could potentially get something really thoughtful, engaging, and entertaining. I would really like for them to get to do a half-hour comedy series at some point after this. The lead actresses are good together and the material is thoughtful and layered. Why not expand those ideas a bit further? Also, the audience would do well to remember that they have a lot more power than the corporations. The audience has the numbers on their side. If you choose to watch or boycott art with the utmost intention and thoughtfulness, you can heavily influence what art gets greenlit or not. I want to see more rom-coms, and this short series feels like a prelude, a warm-up of sorts, to being able to do a more fleshed-out rom-com story, either as a film or a full series, if they're given the opportunity. So if I can influence you to add this show to your watch list, hopefully we can see something more expansive from these women in the future. Also stick around because, as it's been requested in my comments, we will eventually be talking about off-campus, though I have a lot of other videos I need to work on first.